There is a great language that was born in darkness. A boy who could not see created a new way to read the world. His name was Louis Braille. Braille, a system of 6 small dots read by the fingertips, gave millions of blind people the right to read and the freedom to dream. It is one of the greatest inventions in human history. And yet, the person who created it was not a famous scholar, nor a celebrated scientist. He was only 15 years old, a blind boy named Louis Braille. This is the story of a child who carved the brightest light out of the deepest darkness. In 1809, in a small village in France, Louis Braille was born to a father who made saddles and harnesses. One day, when Louis was just 3 years old, he was playing in his father's workshop. A sharp awl slipped and pierced his eye. The wound became infected. The infection spread, and in time, Louis lost the sight in both eyes. 3 years old, before he could truly learn the world disappeared before him. Darkness was not only the absence of sight. He could not read books. He could not learn letters. He had no way to connect with the world. At that time, blind people were not seen as students, but as objects of pity. Education was unimaginable. Most were forced to beg on the streets until the end of their lives. Louis was fortunate. Because of his intelligence, he was admitted to the Royal Institute for Blind Youth in Paris. But the reality there was not much better. The buildings were damp, almost like a prison. The students suffered from hunger and disease. The greatest problem of all was books. The books for the blind were made by raising large printed letters. They weighed several kilograms. Reading a single letter took seconds. By the time a sentence was finished, the beginning was already forgotten. Knowledge was something meant to be read with the eyes. For blind students, learning remained a forbidden world. The most painful truth was this: they could read, but they could not write. Louis asked himself, must we spend our entire lives only listening to what others tell us? Don't I have the right to write my own thoughts? One day, a former soldier visited the school. He introduced a system called night writing, a code designed to send messages in the dark. It used 12 raised dots. Most people found it too complicated, but 12-year-old Louis felt his heart begin to race. Dots, he thought. That's the answer. But they must be smaller, simpler, something a fingertip can understand instantly. He decided to reduce the system to just 6 dots. All summer long, Louis locked himself in his room, working with paper and tools. He failed thousands of times. But at last, he succeeded. A system that could represent letters, numbers, and even musical notes. He was only 15 years old. Braille. These tiny dots were not just a writing system. They were a revolution. They returned the right to read to blind people. At first, people laughed. How can writing exist if it cannot be seen? But Braille spread, quietly, steadily, inevitably. People began to read books, write letters, record music, share their thoughts with the world. And here is something remarkable. The tool Louis used to punch dots into paper, the stylus, was the very same kind of awl that had pierced his eye when he was 3 years old. The tool that had taken his sight became the tool that gave light to millions. The cause of his pain became the key to hope. Louis Braille lived his life in poverty and suffered from tuberculosis. He died at the age of 43. Until the day he died, his school never officially accepted his system. He never lived to see how his invention would change the world. But today, blind people around the globe study, communicate, and dream through the 6 dots he created. Louis Braille died, but the light born at his fingertips never went out. Just as Louis once picked up the awl that had taken his sight, perhaps the experience that hurt you the most will one day become the most powerful tool to save you and others. Hold gently the wound you once locked away in the deepest box of your heart. It may be where your light is waiting to be born.